Hi, my name is Josh Marston, and I wrote and directed the Brighton Beach, Coney Island section of New York, I Love You, starring Cloris Leachman and Eli Wallach. When I was first approached to direct a short story for New York, I Love You, I think the thing that really appealed to me was the idea of coming up with a love story that wouldn't be the obvious love story. And it became a writing exercise for me, literally. While I was working on another script, every day I would sit down and start my day by writing a completely new script. And I settled on this story of two older people who have been together for a very long time, partly because I'm always fascinated with older people and the stories that they've lived through, and partly because I thought that this would likely be the sort of story that might otherwise get overlooked.
Go ahead, hit me, why don't you? Want to run me down? All the time honking like they owned the place.
We could have driven.
Who could have driven you? You're gonna give me a heart attack now?
What's the good of having a car if I never get to drive it?
You can't drive, you can't even read the street sign.
I still have my license.
Only because that girl at the DMV took pity on you. All that flirting with her, it was embarrassing.
And I looked at this script and made a list of the people that I was interested in casting, and the two who came first to mind and who I was most interested in were Eli Wallach and Cloris Leachman. And we sat down to work together, and they had met 40 years ago and worked together in the Actors Studio, and they hadn't seen each other since, and they were ecstatic to see each other again. The time we filmed it, Cloris was 83 and Eli was 93. And when we got onto set and we filmed it, we spent 2 days shooting, and we shot out of order, and the last thing that we shot was what is in fact the first scene between the two of them. And it's a very simple shot. It's a shot of the two of them walking up the street, but because it goes on for a minute and a half, and because it's a narrow sidewalk, and because of the shot I envisioned, it involved a dolly and a jib arm, and it took us a while to set up the shot. And we were finally ready, and we brought out Cloris and Eli, and I said, okay, we're ready. And I positioned them. They had rehearsed it, and I was sure that I assumed that they were chomping at the bit to do it, and I overcompensated, and I said, okay, we're ready to do it. And Eli, he said, well, maybe we're not ready to do it yet. And I wasn't, quite sure what was going to happen. He was wandering off. He was clearly not in the frame of mind that I'd hoped he would be for the shot.
The doctor said you should lift your feet.
I'm lifting.
Once you should fall down, break your other hip.
At least then the pain would be the same on both sides. Equal.
Everything always has to be equal with you.
I'm a democratic sort of fella.
We'll see how democratic you feel when you fall down and break your other hip.
I'm not breaking any hips. Is there some place you gotta get to later? What is your hurry?
My hurry is I want to get there before next week, at the rate you walk.
You want faster? Divorce me and get yourself a younger man. Tom Cruise, perhaps.
You think you're funny?
I do, as a matter of fact.
And what would you do, Mr. Smarty Pants, Mr. I'm so independent, I don't need any help opening the pickle jar?
I got caught in a pickle.
Well, you'd still be putting on your jacket if it wasn't for me.
And bless his heart, he walks back up to me about a minute later, and he says to me, I'm sorry. And he apologizes, and then he says, but let me tell you how Elia Kazan directed. And he proceeds to tell me this wonderful story about how when he worked with Elia Kazan, that they would have a system, and Elia Kazan would say, we'll shoot when the actors are ready, and everyone would calm down, and Eli would have his own special hand gesture that he would do very secretly that only Elia Kazan would notice, and then Elia Kazan would say, we're ready to roll. And I thought, even if this film is an utter and complete failure, and even if it turns out terribly, if nothing else, I will have gotten a lesson in directing from Elia Kazan transmitted via Eli Wallach. So I certainly had a wonderful time making it, and I hope you have a nice time seeing it. Thank you very much.